on the minutes, but we have to bring them up at the board meeting, at a committee meeting to approve them. So I'd like a motion made that we approve the June 2012 meeting. Is that right, Bob? June 10th. I'll take a motion. Is there a second to that motion?
I motion we approve it.
Any discussion?
I second.
Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Approved. Okay. Underneath old business, the board did approve the R&R policy of changing a painting of units. That was published and put on the website. Okay. What has been done to repair the cracks?
I have the list. I just need the group that's going to come with me and set up a time. And then I will notify the people and we will go look at them. So I need whoever is going to be that person that's from this committee that is
the same people that are on the inspection committee.
So they do the
Ross and Bob.
Ross and Bob. Okay. All right.
I have a question. Since my understanding is that we do not take care of the small cracks. We only take care of big ones.
Mm-hmm.
Why? We don't want members to crawl up on the ladder. We don't want them to do that kind of stuff. So I would suggest that we take a look at doing all the cracks in a room or in a building in a member's unit than just doing the large one.
My recollection is that the building committee spent a lot of time on this several years ago, and they tried it out in a unit and discovered that as soon as the season changed, the cracks opened up again. So unless it was, as you said, big.
My problem is that we all came from our own homes.
Yeah.
And if we had cracks in our walls or ceilings, we'd have fixed them.
I don't.
We would have fixed them. So I believe that if we come into a unit because there is a major crack, any other cracks that they have in that unit should be repaired at the same time.
How many times would you repair them?
Yes.
I'm just curious, who's on the list to have wall cracks repaired?
So it's quite a list. So this is what I've been told and what I understand and what I think happened. The building committee did spend a lot of time on this. From what I understand, it was decided that the property manager would decide which ones would be fixed and which would not. So there was a list of, I think, about 4 units that had them. I had the vendor come out, give me bids, and then I went back to the board and I said, I just want to make sure that I am on the same page as you guys are. These are the ones that I would fix. These are the ones that I wouldn't. But then when it got to the board meeting, it was decided that they decided that it would be a committee that would go, an inspection committee that would go to the units and decide. Now, in my gathering of those bids and also from hearing about what the building committee decided was what Marianne was saying, that is you guys, from what I understand in the common areas, you fixed a lot of them and most of them did come back. And even the vendor said, I can fix these, but they most likely will come back. Now, I think the biggest reason why you wouldn't fix all the small ones is because you're going to spend thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars to fix these small cracks. That will come back.
Can you define small versus large?
Well, that's what I was coming to the board with, saying, here's 4 different situations. This is what I'm interpreting as a small crack and not repairing. Here's a large crack that I would say, yes, needs to be repaired. But then that's what happened at that board meeting was then, they wanted a team to decipher. So together, just like when we do an inspection on a move out, it's kind of decided between the team is this being fixed? Is this not? Is this the member's responsibility? Is it the co-op's type thing? So I think that's what the board wants, is that this inspection team go in and decide, is this a small crack? Is this a big crack? That's
If we
my,
could go back to my original question, who's on the list? Is there only 4 units on the list?
no, there's more than that, and I have it back in my office. I can go get it if you'd like, but it's probably, from my memory, 6 to 8 or more. But some of the what I would consider a small crack in a bedroom that no one's going to see was $800 to fix.
Well, on our website, we have a statement: with cooperative ownership, you will get to experience the joy of home ownership without the hassles of traditional home maintenance. Maybe we should add another sentence: unless there's wall cracks. Then it's up to you.
This is not my decision. I'm just the property manager. I'm not the one that's deciding this. So
I do remember all the discussion by the building committee, and I thought the board had kind of agreed with the concept of larger cracks. I've had experience in my home. I had at least 1 or 2 cracks in the ceiling, and you could never fix them. I've had them repaired 3 or 4 times, like well over $1,000, and they just kept coming back. And then we had some repaired here earlier, and they just came back. And they're cosmetic. I don't know why we keep throwing the money at it, and it goes for 2 years, and then majority come back. I'm not sure how cost effective that is.
Yeah, at some point, we need to come to grips with the fact that this isn't the same situation as living in our own homes that we had for 38 years and you could let it go to pot if you wanted to, and here you can't let it go to pot.
Right.
It's a different kind of lifestyle, and you just have to recognize that it is and accept it for what it is and quit getting ulcers.
First
over it.
year that I was in here, I had a ceiling crack. They came around and fixed it. It's fixed. It hasn't come back. Now I know we have movement in the building, but we've been here for 5 years. I am just concerned that we want light bulbs replaced by somebody, not us. We're not supposed to go up and do it. Why do we think, whether it's a small crack or a big crack, why do we think that we have to have members go up and fix it or not fix it? I just say if they're coming in to fix a large crack and there are other cracks within the building that unit, they get fixed, or they have to leave us the information of how to fix them.
Well, this isn't our decision to make. This is a board decision. So if you feel strongly about that, why don't you put together a change order, submit it to the board, and see where it goes? Maybe they'll reconsider the decisions of several years ago.
Well, if we have a board liaison here, and that board liaison can sure reflect our information to the board.
but what I'm understanding is the board's latest decision on it is that there is a inspection group from this group that decides, right?
And I thought it was a committee that had building reps and R&R reps on it.
Well, Mr. Chair, as liaison here, I hear you loud and clear, and I'll certainly take your position to the board along with the position of the building committee and this committee. So I think the suggestion to put together a change order would be the most procedurally correct way to do this, Harvey. So we'll certainly respond to whatever you come up with.
Okay.
One more thing. I guess if we're going to make a decision, I guess I'd like to have just a feel or a ballpark figure what the ultimate cost is going to be, and talk to these people and say, we have this many cracks. Some are large, some are small. What do you think would be a cost to repair all of them? And then what's your professional opinion as to how many of those may come back, and then have that information and either do a survey saying, does the membership want to pay, I don't know, $5,000 or $6,000 to repair all cracks, including minor hairline cracks? That's just a suggestion.
I have already done that, and that's what I brought to the board. The bids, pictures, and I just wanted clarification on, this I would consider a minor crack. Do you agree? But they decided they wanted a committee. And I guess it included the building person too. Okay.
I don't think it should come down to price at all. The cracks should be replaced. We've got $400,000 in surplus operating cash right now on the balance sheet, and it's not being used to maintain the building.
One of the questions for the board, how come Art can't do some of this? I'm a female. I knew how to patch and repair small cracks. So I did ask the board to check how many other cooperatives the maintenance guy can't touch this stuff. So to me, I'd seriously like to know.
Well, yes, sir. Specifically, the board has not set any parameters on what Art can and cannot do. So I really can't answer that question. I'm just wondering, Jennifer, if you have any sort of a response you can give to that.
I don't know. I guess I can talk to Art, but from my understanding, this is something that professional vendors should be doing so that it looks correct, that it looks right, and even a professional vendor is saying that they're going to come back. I know people are really tired of me talking about the Ojibwe bead story, but it's the Ojibwe beaders put a wrong colored bead in the beadwork to show that nothing's perfect. Your building's 5 years old. It's not going to be like when you moved in and be brand spanking new. Now, some of those cracks, yes, should be fixed because they are worse than others. But some of those small cracks, you're going to fix them. You're going to spend the time, the energy, the money on them. They're going to come back.
Well,
So, but it's not my decision. So
right.
Everyone looking at me, it's not my decision. This is a board
I
decision.
think we beat this horse together, but one thing I would like is I'd like the cost estimates that were given to that brought to this board so we can see what the costs were. That will give us more opinion to be able to take a look at what we should do or what we should recommend to the board.
The other thing, we get these professionals. I guess I'm too picky because even just down this hall, you can see the line because they didn't match the colors. In that stairway on first floor, they left the pencil line when they were painting. And these are the professionals. The other hallway, I can see the line. The colors don't match. These are professionals. So to say, just because we have to have it perfect, they don't do it perfect.
I know that I talked to Joe on the building committee after our last meeting in the 10th or whatever, June 10th. I told him there was going to be requests for his building committee to have 2 people look at cracks. He said, fine, I'll pick the 2 out. So the building committee, I would presume, is ready. We're ready. We have 2 people on it. I think that I would like to see the prices before we start. And I'd like to take that on to the board.
I don't have the prices for every single unit because there was ones that as me and Art went through the old work orders found. But I do have 4.
Okay.
So it's a chunk of them. It can give you an idea.
Sure, that's great. Fine. I think we beat this. Okay. In the 2020 25 budget. I provided a sheet and I've already got an update on it. So if you want to pass these out. I got notification that we're to include air conditionings and fireplaces, not air conditioning. We got a notification that we should replace. We have 20 fireplaces that we'll be looking at, and we also have to do maintenance for the dryer bins because some of the dryers are slowing down. Now, is that something that we take care of because it's in the unit? I think so. So I plugged in $65 for 96 units. That's what I got from. So that increased it by $6,200, and I increased $100 for the 20 fireplaces that we have to do service. So that increased it by $2,000. So our budget came up to $17,000. Now last year we had 32, so we're still below what we projected last year. So we're doing a savings. I would like to know if there's any question about that. I have to turn this in to the Finance Committee this week. And I just want to make sure that, because so far this year we spent $2,899. All right, I doubled it and added $600 onto it for whatever costs go up. That gave me the base to start from. So then I added in the two other items that came to my attention. So we had about 7,000 into the budget. Now we got 17,000.
When we talk about dryer vents, first I hope we switch companies because I'm disappointed they didn't push the washer and dryer back in place or make sure they were balanced like they said they were going to. Secondly, this company said every 3 years. The other company said every 4 years. Fourth floor is the main level that if you're going to do 3 years should be done. Fourth floor, yes, because of its position. The rest of them, just to stay in budget, I don't see having to do all of them every 3 years.
I plugged the total in so that we have a budget. All right. It doesn't mean because it's in the budget it gets to be spent, but it's there. And I would rather be generous than having somebody come from the Finance Committee come back and tell us we're always under budget or we're over budget all the time. Yeah, preventive maintenance. I mean, is there a set schedule? I don't know of one. But I have heard comments that people saying that their dryers seem to be getting slower, taking longer to dry. And if that's the case, the only thing that can be is that would help is cleaning of the vents. So that's something I don't decide on who's going to clean and when they're going to clean and how many are going to clean.
Here again, this is something the building committee discussed years ago, right before we had them clean the first time. And I just saw, I was reading old minutes, and it was 3 years was what I saw. And I'll try to find it again. So that would put it next year.
Well, the budget is for next year.
I think this is appropriate. Yep.
So my question is I've got $17,400 for next year's budget, and all I can say is last year we had $32,000. So I think we're going back to the Finance Committee with something less, and saving money is always good. I just want to know if there should be anything else added.
I was a little worried about the repairs, general repairs within the unit. You know, we know that under Warner Stellian, we did a lot of replacing, which would imply lower repair costs. Now we're supposedly doing more repairing.
We did a lot of repairing too with Warner Stallion.
Okay.
Um,
Are we just doing better? Am I unlucky? I've had 2 repairs on appliances this year.
I think they're still coming out. Their costs are lower.
Okay.
And I think, yeah, I'm not sure why it was so high. I think there were some things that were being coded wrong. I think that might be fixed. The replacement you can get from your reserve, and so been doing that.
I think Jennifer's done a good job in making sure that it's put into the right category. So that makes it our budget a lot less, and that's helped a lot. I think Tony's have done a good job. They see some things that they can fix before we looked at replacing.
Knock on wood, we had a lot more repair on the HVACs last summer than we did this year. Knock on wood, knock on wood, knock on wood. The summer is not over. So, and the numbers that we're looking at are only half the year too. So, you know, we still have a little bit of summer. It's going to get hot again, but it hasn't, it was a different season last year.
But I would like, to at least to get a general opinion of this budget I put together. It would be good. Do I hear any other discussion? Good. Hearing none.
I think it's the best we can do.
Okay.
Would you like a motion?
We can. Then I'm covered.
And I move that we submit a budget of $17,040 for general repair and refurbishment of units for 2025.
Do I have a second? Second. Any further discussion?
I don't see where the fireplace cleaning and the dryer vents.
Here, look at this one.
Where are they included?
It's small print.
I try to look.
I put it in this one, Bob. I made a
I see it
correction.
small print, but
I just added it to the total. I didn't turn it on.
okay.
I'm just curious, this fireplace replacement. I mean, we're doing this every couple of years.
It's basically cleaning it and adjusting them.
I know I had 2 fireplaces at my last house. I had a repair guy in there once in about 20 plus years. And that was because of the pilot light.
Yeah.
I mean, is this a little overkill? I mean, and why are we paying for it? I know that's been discussed, but I mean, some of us have shades on our decks and we have to pay for the movement of those things to get them in proper placement. Why isn't that picked up by?
John, I think that because the 20 fireplaces we're talking about were originally under the original upgrade.
I get that, but
So
I mean,
if
isn't it overkill going every 3 years or whatever to get these things repaired or just dusted, serviced?
I don't know that we've had anybody call and say, I need a fireplace fixed, except we've had it in the great room or the club room.
We had one person, and that was after the inspection, and something went wrong. And I called a different place, the fireplace guys, because the people you were using, they would have you prepay for the next year and give you a better deal. When I called the fireplace guy, they don't have you prepay, and they gave you this pretty much the same price as the deal as the other place. And they thought every year was too much. They said every other year. I mean, I can inquire from John Callahan if he's got an opinion on that. I've never had a fire gas fireplace, so I don't know. But it is quite expensive.
Yeah,
Quite expensive.
I had two in my house and I did the same thing. It was the starter that was, had to be replaced. So the only reason I put, no, when the starter didn't work, I had somebody come. All right. And I presume that's the same thing that will happen here. That some member who has a fireplace in the unit, it's not working or doesn't work. And that's the one that will fall. I don't expect us to go out and do 20 units every 3 years just because we have it in the budget. Okay? All those in favor of approving this budget, say aye. Opposed? Hearing none, so carried, okay? I have one other thing before I jump into new. I got information on a refrigerator that was causing noise in a unit, and we did have Art come and look at it, and it has still continues to do it. I would think we should put in another work order for that refrigerator, and then have Tony Appliance come and take a look and make sure that the only two things that I can think of that would make a noise in a refrigerator are the ice maker or the compressor. And it probably is the ice maker, and if that's doing it, maybe it needs to be replaced. So I will get back to the unit, tell them to put in a work order for it on the line, put in their information that it has been looked at by Art and wants it to be looked by Tony. And that we got it solved. They can take a look at it and decide what's going on, okay?
Do you know what the nature of the noise is? We've been down this road.
It sounds like crawling. I mean, it's just a noise that's going on. And it only noise that I can think of is the ice cube maker.
Yeah.
That does cause that, and it could be, one of our 96 units has got a problem in it, and so that's what we're going to take a look at.
Yeah. This has happened before. In fact, we had one that we had 5 service calls on it. And there's a feature in the ice makers that as the gears get a little older, when it's starting to dump the cubes out of the tray, it makes a noise that sounds like a dog barking, like that.
Yep.
And it's normal. Ours has been doing it for several years, and I'm surprised the ice maker hasn't given up yet. But in fact, I'm surprised our ice makers aren't dying right and left, because that's been our experience in the past. But we've been down this road before. Yeah. Ice makers make noise, refrigerators make noise.
But if it's been there since they've had it, so I will recommend that they go ahead and put in a work order for it, and we'll go to Tony's for it. Okay. The replacement study, Marianne.
Did everybody get a copy? I think you did. I didn't copy the whole thing. You're missing some of the back pages where it becomes very repetitive, where it's by year and what the lists are. As you look this over, you want to make sure that you keep reminding yourself that this is not a replacement schedule. What it is an attempt to forecast the amount of money that we're going to need in any particular year. Oh, thank you. It's an attempt to forecast how much money we're going to need in any given year out of the next, through 2054. And it's not perfect. In fact, it's very imperfect, and you can tweak it and mess with it, and it still will be imperfect. I call it the big what if. This is the big what if. And it starts with the what ifs in the upper right-hand corner, the report parameters. What if inflation averages out to 3%, which is, we're told, about what it's been over the last 110 years. in the last 60, it's 3.8 was something I found yesterday. You can find different answers to that question too. What if our annual assessment increases by 2% each year? And what if the interest rate on our reserves, which is our savings accounts for replacement purposes, earn 4%, which Steve assures us is pretty much what the CDs that he has today are slated to earn. Now, we review this every year, and with good reason, because all these what ifs change. There are 73 cooperatives using this particular software model. And hopefully, as the years go by and they get more experience and give more input to the developers, it'll get better and better. But it's never going to be any better than a weather forecast. It's the best we can do with what we have. In the middle, the current funding from the financial report, as of June 30th, the HUD reserve, I think everybody understands we have two savings accounts, two reserve accounts. One is mandated by HUD. It's controlled by our mortgage company. We can't just take money out of it when we want to. We have to get permission. And Jennifer batches up her receipts periodically, sends them in, and gets the reimbursement. By the way, you can look at those requests for reimbursement on the internet. It's under financials, reserves, and there are reports for 2022, 2023, and 2024. And they total up to about 163,000. Now, of course, I can't see it. $164,533 is what we've spent out of reserves so far, at least from what we've been able to find. Jennifer is unable to find reports from 2021. Yeah.
If I may just make a comment. You pulled $64,000 out of the reserve fund. That's the purpose of the reserve fund.
164,000.
Whatever the number.
Yeah.
The purpose of the reserve fund is for expense reimbursements that we are paying. So, I mean.
Yeah, I'm just calling that to your attention because it was interesting to me to see what kinds of things.
We're using the money that we set aside. And we're setting right now $132,000 a year into that account. That account is growing, not counting interest income on there.
Right, counting the interest income, you're in the bottom box. Let me go back where I was. The contributions to the HUD reserve are $11,010 a month. That's the second line. Then recognizing that HUD's minimum requirements are minimum requirements, most cooperatives have set up their own savings account, their own supplemental reserve. We have such an animal, and the proposal was to put in $2,083 a month into that. We also did a one-time transfer, kind of a bonus, of $40,000, which was surplus checking account money due to having low utility bills this year, which gives us an estimate for the beginning of 2025 of $963,839. Now, that's overstated because it assumes that we're not going to spend anything for the balance of this year, and we know we will. That's why we review this every year. We true up the numbers, and so we have a better understanding, a more accurate picture of what's going on. The 2025 contributions you see right in the middle. The replacement reserve is the HUD one. The supplemental is our own, which we control. We'll be putting in a total of $160,245 annually. And a repeat of the what ifs for interest, inflation, and annual increase. Excuse me. There's a difference between contribution And allocation down in the bottom blue box includes the interest, which is reinvested. And so we've got our money working for us, and that's helping out. You see the averages there. This is used, and I'm not going to go through the whole thing because we probably need a separate session for that. But you can see, turning to the second page, that if we start out with the beginning balance, 2025, add our contributions, add our interest, we project an ending reserve. The fully funded reserve is an indication of how much money. Best analogy I can use is if you set up a college fund for your college kids, you figure out that by 2024, I need to have this much money. 2026, I need to have this much money. The fully funded is your target for a particular year. Bottom line, our percent funded at the end of 2025 is projected to be 120%. That's too high, but it won't change by much when we true it up in the middle of next summer. Too high because we're starting out with a number that's artificially high. But you get the idea of how this works.
Yeah, excuse me. It's not artificially high. That cash is sitting in different accounts. So
Or it will be by the end of the year.
exactly. So there's
If we don't spend
there's
it.
nothing artificial about it.
John, you missed the part where I said this 963 assumes we're not going to spend any money anymore this year, and we will. It may go down $5,000. I don't know. Nobody knows. It's a what if.
It's a moment in time.
It's a moment in time, and the next
Very.
moment it's wrong, just like a weather forecast.
Today it's different.
Yep.
So I think, great. I want to thank Mary Ann. Not only was she went to the meetings, but also was the secretary for the R&R and for the reserve study. So
You know what I'm going to do next time? I learned a lot. Bob, I don't know if this happens to you when you send out the minutes and say, please send corrections. So help me, next time I'm going to say, I want each member of this committee to submit their own paragraph describing what they think the minute should be. And then I'm just going to compile that and not bother writing it myself. I learned my lesson.
well,
But thank you.
I do thank you for the work you did.
It was fun.
And mainly we wanted her to report. I think the committee did a very good job this year. I think they all worked together, and there was a good bunch of people there. So, but I wanted to personally thank you for doing it. I want to move on. The report from Jennifer on the transfer of some units up for sale. I understand there's been a lot of last one that investigated. It needs a lot of work.
210, well, the carpet needs to be replaced, but that will be the seller's cost. It needs 2 coats of paint, but that will be the seller's cost. There were some minor things that Art has been able to take care of. And yeah, so the newer folks, John and Ann Bills in 107, came forward and they are interested in that. So they will be doing a transfer to that unit. So that makes 107. As soon as they hand in that form, I will start to put that on the market. And I do know of one other unit that the folks are on a wait list for higher level care, and as soon as that happens. But that is hard to say when that will happen.
Absolutely.
Other than that, can change in a second. I can go back and have a message on my phone, but other than that, I don't know of any other ones.
Okay. How are we doing on servers with Tony?
Sure, great. They're so great compared to Warner Stallion. We replaced 2 microwaves in the last month, and I believe it was in June we replaced a washer. But there's been, minor repairs that have had to be done. Um, Still some of the updates on the dishwashers that works instead of replacing them, like Warner Stelling was having us do.
Yeah.
So
Good. Is we have any more well, you told me appliance issues, so that's it. That's what we know.
there's been some here and there. They're out here quite a bit, but the bills are smaller.
Good.
Could I give you a quick update on that washer that's in the
Yes,
garage? A
please
couple
do.
people have asked me about that. I do have it advertised on Craigslist. There are 36 front-loading washers on Craigslist right now. I haven't had a single call on this, so I'm worried. But
Marketplace.
Facebook Marketplace, I've had bad luck with that,
Have you?
with scam
Yeah.
text
well,
messages
I
and
think
that
all
sort
of
of
them are
thing.
scam.
If somebody would like to help me with Facebook Marketplace, we could put it out there. I'm not sure if the problem is too much supply and not enough demand. I'll run into it there too. But what I was going to say is I think the day may be coming that with the age of our appliances, we should just have them hauled off. It's rare that we have one that still works that's being replaced. And but people I think are just wary, maybe. I'm not sure.
How much are you asking for this thing?
$400 with the 2 pedestals. And the
Everything sells for the right price. Lower the price.
Yeah. Well, I'll give it it's only been a week. Yeah. The other thing I've been trying to peddle is the Beast, Janet's Beast. Never had a single call on that, and I think that's expired on me twice now. So I've had that out there for at least 90 days. I have make an offer, nothing. And the problem with it is it's not a vacuum, it's just a sweeper. It just stirs up the dust, doesn't suck it up. And not getting any bites on that either.
I would almost say before you just pay for them to take it away, maybe even, if you're wanting to not deal with, that, put it on there free, because then you don't have the cost of having them come and take it away. It's just something to think about. If you're, or yeah, keep lowering the price. For the right price, they'll take it, but it's not sometimes with some of those larger things to have them come and pick it up and take it away. It costs you something. So
Exactly.
if you can even, free, then you don't have to pay for
when we replace a broken appliance, Tony's takes away the old one, don't they?
Yeah, but there's a fee.
$30
recycling
or
fee,
something.
$30 or $50, something like that.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, I think you have the ability to, if we don't get it sold, keep reducing. If it doesn't get sold, put it in a free. If we don't get it, we'll ask Tony to come pick it up. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, that's about the end of my meeting. I have nothing else. Anybody have any other items?
I just want to clarify. So am I going forward with contacting Joe and getting his people for the inspection team and
Yep.
doing that? Okay. And I will send out the emails with the bids and the pictures.
Is there any other questions, any other things that need to be brought up? Anything from the public? Anything from anybody on? Dick? Bob, give me your microphone.
I've got some questions for this one. That's what he gave.
Got some questions on the policy for the cracks and so forth. First of all, I'm in a unit that has no cracks, so I have nothing in this as far as concern of myself. But let's see, what was I? When you say you set up a policy, Jennifer gets a good definition, and I agree with her. She shouldn't have to do that. That should be we should be guiding her completely with that. But if there are some cracks that are not fixed, then then when the unit sells, are they fixed and charged back to the member? Because it's probably done with the paint. And that should be defined then, because you've made a decision there. The second thing is I'm gonna ask, we just sold a unit and they decide to go into another unit that's become available. Do we repaint that unit again? I wouldn't think so, but it's
They
not defined.
They have not put anything up on the walls, for that purpose.
Okay,
So as long as the walls have
yeah.
not been scuffed and that, there's no need to repaint it because it's been within a month or two. Um, it'll be inspected,
It'll be
yeah,
inspected,
yeah.
okay.
But they're not putting anything up on the
Okay.
walls.
Well, I'm just looking at the fact that if we don't do some kind of cracks, then the member is gonna get charged for it because it's part of the painting job. And that should be defined because that's really part of the responsibility. And we're paying in for that. We're paying in for that, as John pointed out. And if I think everybody who's sitting here is in their 6th year of living here. We've contributed a fair amount for that purposes in that fund. And I think there should be some kind of at least a prorating system in that, even if it's,
There is.
oh, there is
I
eventually.
can also,
But for the first 5 years, there isn't. You pay for the whole thing. See
I
what
can-
I'm saying? And we paid in for that. We have paid in for that to some degree. Yeah, yeah. Well, I understand, but we're still paying into the fund and not getting any benefit from the fund. Every one of us that are sitting here. Okay, that's all.
I have our painter coming out to do 210 or to look at 210, measure 210 today. I can ask them if there is a minor crack and you are turning the unit, is there an extra cost at that? I can ask him that today to clarify.
A
Thank you,
lot
Jim.
of times just painting fills the minor cracks, you know.
Just,
Yeah,
That won't do any good.
just as a comment, I'm a new owner. If I had moved in and seen a crack, I would have expected it to have been fixed, no matter how large it was. Now, that would raise the question, what would you have told me? And would it have been a surprise, or would it have been something that I would have been able to see in advance in terms of a part of your rules or regulations or policy, or just this could come up again.
and I think, as we've said, that if a unit is transferred, sold, that unit is painted, it's patched, all taken care of. That's the policy. Seller's dime,
But the seller would have to pay.
yes.
That's actually decided by the inspection team from my understanding. So if there is some damage that's done that the co-op would normally do, then the seller is not responsible for it.
When there is a small crack, well, there was already raised. What is a small crack? And as an owner, if depending on when that crack appears, how do you ascertain before you sell whether or not you want to try to get it fixed by the co-op?
I think the first assumption is it's done by the building settling. So I think our first assumption would be it's a co-op responsibility, unless it's an obvious where they've crashed a piece of furniture into the wall or something. But other than that, I think we, as an inspection team, we would assume that the co-op's responsible.
Do we have a question online? Dick, wait,
Hi, this is Sue Lenz.
turn it up. You got to turn your volume up.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Just a second. All right, Sue.
Okay. I didn't hear exactly how you ended the fireplace discussion. Is it out of the budget and we're just gonna have people call for repair like we do for refrigerators and dryers?
It's in the R&R budget, so members will have to call to get it fixed on a
Okay.
work order.
But just for fixing it, not for ongoing maintenance every couple years.
What she's asking is it included in the budget to do the ongoing maintenance? And yes, you did include that in there.
Okay, I think I'll push back on that. I think that's overkill. And anyone who's had those fireplaces in their homes never have ongoing maintenance. They just call when there's a problem. And no one's gonna freeze to death if they're out of their, if they can't use it for a couple of days, why we're got the repair guy coming in.
Okay.
Thank you.
Dick, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm going to correct myself on one thing. I don't have cracks, but I got 3 pops from the wall boards that push out. You couldn't, if I didn't know him, you came in there, you wouldn't find him. Bob would find him because he does that kind of inspection. He knows what he's looking for. There's a thing, that's the only thing that's something we could repair here ourselves. I've been tempted to do it, but I've been told by the other person that lives in my unit not to do it. So I respect that. And anyway, that there are things that will show up like that too. So anyway,
Thanks, Dick. Thanks for the comments from the gallery and appreciate your input. With hearing nothing else, I ask for, go ahead, Marianne.
This is an observation, and it's we're raising issues that were beaten to death years ago, and decisions were made by previous committees, other committees. If this is going to become habitual, we're going to be revisiting every policy, every governing document. What's happening here? Are people forgetting that all this was hashed over? I'd like to move forward, not replow the old ground.
I really don't think we replowed any old ground.
Well, we got the painting issue coming up. We've got
We
the
got what?
cracks. We've got the fireplaces. All this has been
This
discussed before.
fireplace was put into a budget. It's a budget item.
Yeah,
We don't have
yeah.
to spend it, Marianne.
Right. I understand
Okay.
that. But you know,
Painting was done before because we want to clarify that if it case it needed 2 coats, it was covered.
Yep. I remember.
Okay.
The fireplace maintenance, the building committee, again, I don't know how we suddenly got this, but that was a building committee topic a number of years ago, and they voted and recommended to the board that we do maintenance on all the unit fireplaces that particular year, whichever year it was. And the rationale was fire hazard. And that was why the cooperative should pay for it, because it would be a fire hazard to leave it. I remember that discussion.
Well, not
from
long
that meeting.
ago.
So, I mean, I don't care. It's just as a
Not
committee
long
member,
ago,
I don't.
underneath when I was chairman of the R&R committee. Now, once upon a time, the R&R committee was part of the building committee. So they maybe discussed a lot of things. But I can remember us talking about getting the fireplaces done the first time.
Yeah.
Because it was part of the members' unit, and in our charter, we're in charge of the member unit. Okay.
Yep. So we shouldn't be revisiting it again. That's my point.
There's another hand up. Sandy Thompson, go ahead.
Hi, I'm just wondering if we have any concerns about HUD inspections with those fireplaces, and is that something we have to pay attention to?
You know, can you,
Guys,
did you hear what she said?
Her question was, we need to turn that up a little bit more, Esther, on that remote. But Her question was, is do we need to have some concern about the HUD inspection in the fireplaces? I wasn't here.
Please talk in the
I
microphone.
wasn't here, so I don't know.
I don't have an answer for that, whether or not they do or not. I have no idea, but
I can ask John
but if they
Callahan on
turn it
that.
on and it doesn't work, that would be a
I
ding.
think they probably just look to see if it's working. I don't think they would ask when it's being inspected. They do on your fire panel and those types of things, but I don't think so on a fireplace. But I will ask John Callahan that question too.
As far as I'm concerned, it is part of the members' unit. And it's no different than any other upgrade that they did that is covered underneath our service agreement. So if they need service, it's covered under our policy. Okay?
I think the question is not about service, but about maintenance. Is maintenance needed? I think that's what the question is.
What's the difference between maintenance and service?
If you're doing ongoing maintenance, you're paying no matter if there's a problem, you're paying for them to come in, but service is when there's a problem. So I think that's the question.
Okay.
Is what is coming up.
My floor is it's for maintenance. And I don't see any need to go around to all 20 units and do them annual inspections to make sure they're working.
No,
I think every 2 years, whatever. I can see them if we need maintenance on it. That doesn't service on it.
Service.
If we have service on it, then it's fine.
Yeah, this is Sue. Can you hear me?
Yep.
I would say, yeah, service for sure. And then when Art comes in, Art can see if it works when he walks in there and changes something else, on an annual basis. But so your budget should only have maybe the potential cost of 2 or 3 service calls a year. And if we realize, things are going out of line, then we get back into a maintenance operation. But for now, it's wasted money having somebody come in here and look at 22 fire.
Yeah, I agree. And I think our budget is for maintenance. It's not for ongoing service.
No. I think we're confusing the word.
Yep.
Maintenance would be they come in and check it out. Service is repair, right?
Right.
So we should have a budget for maybe 3 repairs, which might be.
We have in our budget a budget number for repair.
How much?
$2,000.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you for all your participation. If nothing else, I call this meeting to end. Close.